Thank you. Thanks so much. Thanks so much for inviting me here. And it's really a privilege to be in this city and in this building, of course. I was quite surprised to see the interior of this building because when you come in after looking at King's College and this, that, and suddenly this architecture, this interior design, I was really pleasantly surprised. And then I got to know that it was built in the 90s. And then I said, then, well, it is not so surprised, but being so bold is really great. And that is what I think these institutes are about. So thanks so much for inviting me. What I'm going to talk about a bit today is Indian film industry, the disruptions of the past, present, and the future. So, of course, future is the most attractive word here as to what is going to happen to Indian film industry in the future. However, to look at the future, we need to take cognizance of the past, and I think that is extremely essential because if we keep on looking at it as to what happened, then it is really easy to kind of envisage the future. Looking at the past, we are talking about in films, the disruptions in the films in Indian film industry. However, the art of films itself was a major disruptor initially. What was before films? Before films, it was dramas, plays, the folk art, music, dance. So these arts were full of color, music, interaction with the audience, dialogues, all of that, the vibrant. Just imagine all that. And then came films, two-dimensional, flat, black and white, no dialogues because they were silent films. So we took out everything which was, kind of vibrant in those arts. But still, the films managed to disrupt the then economics of the arts as well as the aesthetics of the arts. And it just went on conquering so much so that in Maharashtra we had something called Sangeet Natak, the musical theatre. We don't have it anymore. It was that kind of disruption that films, kind of did. Of course, we have plays and dramas right now, but all that Sangeet Natak kind of tradition, it just went off. Aesthetically as well, I'll tell you from where we have traveled. Lumiere brothers, they did first film, of course, in the world. And their short, small film was shown in South Mumbai then. And what was the film? The camera was kept on the platform of a train station, and the train was entering the station towards the camera. And that film was shown. When the train started coming towards the camera, audience got up and ran out of the hall thinking that the train is going to, hit them. That was our introduction to cinema. That, and of course, it shows the fascination towards the medium, and that is why people, caught on to it. But from there, we have traveled here, where now everyone can make a film at home and distribute. That is what we have come to these days. Well, then films, of course, from silent films, we became talkies and then colored films, everything. The first disruption for films, in that sense, came from the introduction of television. Of course, India had television from the 70s, but only, I think, in New Delhi and Mumbai and all. But then in 80s, it started spreading up all over India. And the real kind of disruption came in the 90s, the famous 1991 budget by Mr. Manmohan Singh, where a lot of things were democratized. Uh, After that, we really, saw slums. Even the slums had the dish antennas. That is where the television actually went into homes. And people thought that now the entertainment is in the drawing rooms of the people, and what's going to happen to cinema? Well, there was a kind of a disruption, but then cinema did not show, television did not show cinema always, and the big screen, small screen, all that, kept on happening. And we came back. So there is always a circular kind of a thing, and cinema came back after a little bit of disruption. Actually, television in many ways helped cinema later on with Chitrageet and Chayageet and all that. So cinema was promoted. The songs did promote cinema. However, the next disruption was really lethal, which was video cassettes and the piracy. That really took cinema down, and in a very major way. I'll give you a couple of examples. I don't know how many people know here, but there used to be these buses which used to travel in the night from, say, Kolhapur to Pune, so Kolhapur to or Solapur to Hyderabad and all that. They used to have television sets inside. And these guys used to show films, pirated video cassettes. And if suppose from Solapur to Hyderabad there are 4 buses standing, people used to ask, which film are you showing? And if they have seen the film, they used to go by another bus because that would show the other film. And all this was pirated cassettes. There used to be video parlors in 2-tier, 3-tier cities, and there used to be wooden benches. Friday, the film used to release in theaters. Friday night, these guys used to show these pirated copies for 2 rupees, for 1 rupee. And people used to sit on those wooden benches and watch the film. It was really a downer. It was really a dark period for the film industry. But we again kind of recovered because people got tired of watching films on the small screen and all that. So they wanted that experience. They realized that is the experience as far as sound. And of course, theaters improved. The quality of cinema improved. So naturally, people started missing that. So they came back to theater. Then came internet and social media. Of course, that is present that we are talking about. But let me just take you to another aspect of what film industry faced. You see, earlier, there used to be a decision in the family, चलो आज picture देखते हैं. Huh? Let us watch a film today. So that was a general decision in the family. Then the newspaper used to get spread on the dining table, and then people, this film, that film, no, I have seen this, no, this is not good for children, this, that, all those things. And then they used to zero down on a film because 3 हफ्ते हो गए रिलीज होके तो टिकट मिल रही है and all those things. But see what is happening here. The decision was made that let us watch a film. So पैसा आ गया इंडस्ट्री में. Which film was the second, thing. But then, in the entertainment thing, film was at the top. If you want to get entertained, let us go for a film. So it was the first choice. Slowly, because of television and because of a lot of other things which we don't think are relevant, but restaurants. When I was a kid, my parents never took me to restaurant for a dinner or for anything, but that became a very common thing later on. Then malls, cafes, of course, internet, because of all these things, video games, cinema, which was the first priority, is now 7th, 8th, 9th priority. Youngsters go in the mall to watch a film and they see a new cafe which has come up there. They sit there, drink the coffee, and go home. This is what cinema is fighting today. So, this also was a major disruption which was not directly for the films, but it definitely affected the films. Coming back to now internet and social media and the marriage of it, of social media and internet, you see, today in India, there are a lot of surveys. The average consumption on the reels per day per person is 3 to 3.5 hours per day per person. Now, you sleep for whatever 6, 7 hours, you work for 7, 8 hours, you're traveling, this, that. So we have only 24 hours. And everyone, all the media is fighting for those 2, 3 hours of entertainment for every person that every person has. Now, out of that, average 3.5 hours people are spending, which is right in their pockets. And what is cinema industry is fighting for? Let me spell it out for you. These reels, they don't have a production cost, right? Anyone can make a film, a reel, right? It almost doesn't have a consumption cost because data is so cheap. And people, they have this per day, this much kind of a data available. So if people don't consume it, people keep on watching reels. क्योंकि इंडिया में ये है कि ये मिला है फ्री तो खत्म तो करना है आज. So just to finish the data that they have got, they are watching reels. So no production cost, no consumption cost, and there is no end to the software. You keep on watching and it keeps on coming. Now, films, it is the most expensive art of all arts. To produce itself, films, they need so much of capital. The investment is very heavy. It is capital heavy industry. Now this industry is fighting with something which doesn't have a production cost, doesn't have a consumption cost, and there is no end to the flow. That is what we are actually fighting for. And because of this, now a new thing has come up. You all must be aware of it, which is called the vertical format. Right? So there are episodes of 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes kind of thing. And there are 100 episodes, 125 episodes. The entire model, the financial model is really interesting there. So you don't have to subscribe anything like you have to subscribe Amazon or Netflix or something like that. No, you don't have to. You just have to download the app. 4-5 episodes are free. Whatever show or series you get hooked onto, you can purchase only that. And that too, 5 episodes. After you finish that, you get 1 episode bonus, free. That is the model. In China, from 2021, it kind of started building up. And I'm very bad with numbers, but it was in some millions, 680 million or something in their currency. By 2024, it has gone to some 68 billion or something. It is supposed to have crossed the revenue of the vertical format. It has supposed to have crossed the box office of Chinese cinema in 4 years, in just 4 years. So that is another thing that we are fighting. So the technology disruptions that cinema is facing, and this is the future that we are talking about now, and we have not even touched the A word, artificial intelligence. We have not even touched that. So what that is going to do, no one knows. And you ask any expert and they say actually we don't know what is going to happen in any field for that matter. These vertical formats that I spoke about, a lot of the writing is done by AI in those formats to keep the costs down. So it is already in the industry. But there is one more disruption that is happening, and which is very important according to me, and that is aesthetical disruption. Now imagine all the arts that we have been consuming for hundreds of years, like even the paintings in the church or the sculptures in the temples, cinema, the theater, folk art, even your over the top, the Amazons and Netflixes, everything, all these arts we consume horizontally as we see the horizon, right? There were kind of only two exceptions to it, which was sculpture and painting, where the individual sculptures were vertical, and the painting, some of the paintings were vertical, but majorly they were horizontal. It was again kind of, we got used to vertical consumption, and the art which did that was photography. And that also, when I was a child, I remember the photo albums used to be horizontal. We used to turn them like this, and the photographs, most of them, they used to be horizontal. Come Kodak and the Kodak camera, and those shops at every nook and corner which used to develop those rolls, and everyone had that camera. Again, democratization of technology in the 90s. And you remember the albums now, the plastic albums, they're vertical. And we put photographs like that, So that was one thing which kind of trained us to consume the vertical formats slowly. But they were photographs. It was not audio visual thing. They were not moving images. Phones have changed that. The reels have changed that. Now the entire aesthetics for youngsters, for the generations which are coming, the major consumption is vertical. And it changes a lot of things. You take photographs, right? Ujjwal was taking photographs, and I said, take one vertical, take one horizontal. What does that do? It makes a hell of a lot of difference. So when I'm looking at you, I can look, horizontally. When I'm looking vertically, all this is cut from my sight. The production design changes, the set changes, the light changes, the close-ups, they change. So the consumption itself from horizontal, which was there for hundreds of years, has now changed, and it has come. Major consumption is becoming vertical. The other thing which is affecting the aesthetics is video games. Video games industry is much bigger than the film industry, revenue-wise. And there in video games, you see the aesthetics of video games, the colors that are used, the lighting that is used, the production design, the sets that they build. You can design your own costumes, and now AI is involved and all that. So the entire aesthetics is changing. Typically, all over the world, the film audience is between 15 and 35. The bulk of the cinema going audience is between 15 and 35. After the parents give permission to go alone, till they become parents. So they stop going to theaters. So that is the average, kind of bulk audience of cinema. Now imagine the generation which is now 5 years or 10 years today, who is consuming all this, who is the vertical format generation, which is the video game generation. within 5 to 10 years, they are going to be our audiences. And they are coming up with that aesthetics and with all those technologies at the back of their hands. So the thing is, as I said, cinema being the most expensive art. And let me tell you why talking about this is important and why talking about this here in Cambridge is all the more important is for this. In our industry, we have all the departments. We, of course, have direction department, production department, finance, lighting, camera, everything, all these departments that you have in other industries. We do have these departments. What we don't have, what other industries usually have, is R&D department. We don't have research and development departments, formal departments. वी आर के हाँ ये फिल्म चली है ये शायद चलेगी चलो करते हैं. It is all on assumptions that we work. But technology is changing so fast. And see, basically what are we? We are into telling stories for the people. But people are changing, and they are changing very fast. And so right now, all over the world, we are in a limbo as to 5 years down the line, 2 years down the line, what is that generation going to like? We don't know. And every time we cannot be experimenting, spending crores and crores of rupees. It's very difficult. And that is why right now you would see all over the world, people are grappling which film to make, what film to make. And so less number of films. In UK, I was told that last year, I think 2024 was the least films that were produced in UK. Someone was telling me. So naturally, we are in this very disruptive times. And here we need, and that is where I think something like business school also can come in. We need projects, probably in your courses or somewhere, I don't know how, what, when, and not only from business, but we need scholars from anthropology. We need scholars from history, sociology, finance, arts. The scholars need to have projects to tell us what the future looks like as far as the consumption of entertainment is concerned. We need those models. They may not be perfect, 100%, they cannot be. But we need to have these projects coming up from universities, from, of course, our industry, from the established studios, from the government. Maybe there could be liaising with the government, looking into a, say, 3-year project from today or a 5-year project from today, where there is a liaising between all these scholars. And if we can do some projects which can probably help us envisaging as to where the general entertainment is going, not just films, but where is it going, what is going to happen. And we just cannot kind of in thin air talk about it. Of course, that we should, and we should try and imagine what would happen. But at the same time, we need academics involved in this from all these verticals. As I said, right, from anthropology to history to sociology to psychology to whatever, you name it. Because we are trying to understand people, and all these sciences, they ultimately try to understand people and work for people. We need them to understand as to how would they consume entertainment in the coming future. So that's what I wanted to talk to you about. And let us hope that these things as a business school, you keep in your mind, you probably think about it. And if you can come, if any help is needed from back in India, there are very good trade analysts and all that to give the data and all that. But we need, I think, help as an entertainment industry, entire entertainment industry all over the world. I think we need a very academic kind of approach henceforth. Thank you. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, sir, for this session. I think you took us along with the journey and you made us realize that what we were doing. Actually, I think most of us wouldn't even realizing that we are consuming that vertical or horizontal thing. So that is one awareness that you gave us. So, sir, continuing on what you earlier said, just as you were saying that we should talk about it. So, just out of thin air, what would you think would be the Indian film industry in 2035 or 2040? What kind of content people would be consuming? What would be the platforms? And again, the AI thing that we talked about. So,
Oh, very, very
how do you
simple
see?
answer. No clue. No clue. And that, I think, is the answer. We don't know what is going to happen. And it's truth. We really don't know, because we don't know what is going to happen 2 or 3 years down the line. We were talking about these over the top OTT. They don't call here OTT. What do they call it? Streaming platforms.
Yeah.
The streaming platforms. So 2 3 years back, I was giving interviews and they used to say, ki, streaming platforms is the future. Today, all the streaming platforms are pulling out capital from it because it has a certain kind of limit to its subscription base and it is not increasing. So it is right now, it is under question in 2 years' time, in 3 years' time. So we really don't know what's going on. And that is exactly what I think is that where academics should come in and give some guideline to the
I would agree
entertainment
to that.
industry.
There was someone in the audience.
Hi. Firstly, thanks so much for taking your time here today. We've recently seen decline in terms of footfalls when it comes to average seat in terms of capex, which is like filling up seats in the theaters as well. As you mentioned for the OTT platforms as well, a lot more people, as opposed to what they were doing a couple of years back, going to the cinema theaters, for instance, in tier two cities and actually going out for shows or something, it's actually been declining. And what we see is a huge number of surge in terms of OTTs and just people just waiting for Netflix. It's probably going to come again Netflix in a month or so, right? The number of movies which are being launched. It's the duration is also something which is very pragmatic to me as well, because it usually takes 2 weeks for something which is released on the theaters actually coming to the OTT when it comes to the availability per se aspect. So, and like it's something around 12,000 crores or something, the box office revenue a couple of years back declined to 11,500. So, how do you feel it balancing it out? Do you see it further declining in terms of revenue generation? What's your take on it?
Yeah, that's what we don't really know right now, because we don't know how this technology is going to go further and what is going to do. That is exactly what I'm saying, that if we would have known what is going to happen, we would have done something to stop it. But we cannot, because we don't know how the consumer behavior is going to be. And they also don't know, because they don't know what is going to be the next thing on their phones or on their televisions sets or on their laptops. We don't know. But right now, there is a lot of disruption, that's for sure. I think we are opening up for the audience later on, right?
Just later on. So can you continue?
Yeah. So if you have few more questions, we can
So
continue.
my next question is that, as you have already mentioned, that the industry is going on a decline. So if there's a 25
For
year,
now.
yeah.
Yeah.
So if there's a 25-year-old youngster who wants to make into the industry, be either an actor or a filmmaker or a screenplay writer, so what is your advice for that person?
Don't come. No, it's a wonderful industry. I have enjoyed my life in this industry, and what I have learned, probably I wouldn't have learned being anywhere else. See, not only for the youngster who is going to come, even for me or for anyone, we have to be extremely vigilant as to what is happening around us in our industry. We cannot be complacent. it's not like we have learned a skill and we can use that skill for our lives, lifetime, and we can survive. I don't think in any industry or any field that is the case. More so in entertainment industry. So number one, if you feel that you really like to be in this field, I always tell this to young actors. I always say that liking acting, being able to act, and to do business of acting, these three are completely different things, and they are not interdependent. No, you may feel that you like acting but you may not be able to act. You may not be that good an actor but you may be a fantastic business, you may do fantastic business of acting. So these are completely different things, right? So I think this is true for anyone who wants to come into any art, because once your hobby becomes your profession, it's a different ballgame. And then there are a lot of other things which can be talked about at length, but you need to be extremely clear that only like having so-called passion, which is, I don't like that word, but that is not enough. Because if you want to do business, if you want to make a profession out of it, then there are a whole lot of different things that you need to you know concentrate on, temperament being the most important thing, not talent.
So I'm going just a bit off topic. So we have read about you that you are involved in a lot of philanthropic work. So could you just tell us more about that?
uh,
Yeah.
just now what I was saying, hobby and profession, when I became a professional actor, the first thing I realized that I have lost my hobby. I don't have a hobby now, and that's a great loss, let me tell you that, as a human being. And I thought that there must be something that I think about, I practically do something about. So that too, apart from other things, uh, drove me to think about what can I do, because same thing. I mean, at a particular stage, everyone feels that how can I change the things around me and all that. So I thought education was something that I could work in, primary and pre-primary education. So we started organization, non-profit called Quality Education Support Trust. So it works in primary and pre-primary education, and we work in tribal and rural areas mainly. Um, so we founded that in 2007. Now, last, I think, two or 3 years back, I have retired from it. I was founder president of it. So I looked after it for 14 years, and now I have retired from it.
Okay. Now I think we'll open the forum for the audience. So guys, if you have
Yes,
any
sir.
questions.
May I kick off? Thank you very much for that talk. It's reminding me about the importance of history, as I have some projects running. But just a couple of quick sound bites. I'm also a grandfather. So your philosopher that you're looking for is my 5-year-old grandson, probably.
Absolutely.
And he was here this summer, and I was endlessly listening to K-pop Demon Hunters.
Yeah.
It's fun. And he was recently on his school run with my son, and my son decided to play him Black Magic Woman from Santana, because my son grew up properly, with my influence.
Properly. So your grandson is not growing up properly.
So about two blocks in, if they live in Dubai, apparently this 5-year-old was wailing, "How long is that song?" So I'm just wondering, so it's a light-hearted note, but the issue of attention span of the future generations coming to the vertical formats and so on, what do you think will be your, I have one more question at this time, but on this one, what is the likely response?
So there is a very scientific kind of explanation to this thing, is that uh, the chemical reactions in our brain. So suppose in films we take 2 hours to secrete that, what do you call it? The dopamine. So that dopamine, you get that rush within 80 seconds, 70 seconds, and then you get it again in next 60 seconds. You get it again in another 90 seconds. And that is how you get used to that dopamine. That is the, and mind you, they say that this algorithm is set on the basis of what educators actually did, which is called the reward thing. That you see what you feel like, and then you don't see for next two, three scrolls, you don't see what you really like, and then you get a reward. And so you keep on watching. So that is what they use, I'm told. However, this attention span has a very opposite example as well. When these shows come, which are say 10 episodes, 50 minutes each, so it is length of almost three films, and people watch it in one go. They binge watch it. Now, how do we define that attention span? Right? So it is not that simple, is what I want to say. That of course there is this attention span kind of a thing, deficit kind of a thing, but at the same time we know examples where people watch these things for hours together, or 3.5 hours they are watching their phone. So if you calculate that as attention, then there is a lot of attention for 3.5 hours, or maybe more than that. That is the average. So I think this is very tricky, and because the technology is changing so fast that we know very little about what is happening to human brain right now. And that makes me come back to these things, that we need scholars from different disciplines to come together and see our future for our own good. It is not only for entertainment. Entertainment is something what people do when they have free time. And now, if people are going to have more and more free time because of AI and other things, we are actually talking about the entire humanity as to what is going to happen to our brains and our time and our relationships. So it is extremely important, and I don't think the human body or brain. I always say one thing, and I'll end this thing. I always say the crux of each problem today is this: the individual human brain is not able to cope what the collective human brain has created. The phone is what the collective human brain has created. If the wheel was not invented, iPhone wouldn't have been there. That is the collective human brain that has created. But the individual human brain, if we think about our own evolution as individuals, our own brain, our physiology, our psychology, we are not equipped to handle what the, and that is true not only for technology, that is true for systems, for social systems, for political systems. It is true for everything, because everything, all of this is created by collective human brain. And that is where I think there is this great disparity. And we really need to work very seriously on this from the social subjects kind of point of view, because entire funding for last many years, the entire concentration has been on pure sciences, not on social sciences. And that needs to change. And that needs to change really fast. And it needs to turn upside down. Otherwise, we'll be in a great trouble as a race, I think. Yes,
Yeah.
please. Yeah.
Uh, Hello, sir. Firstly, thanks a lot for such an insightful session. I'm actually not with the business school. I'm from the Faculty of Law, pursuing a master's in law. And for a long time, I've been working in law and policy. And one of my areas has been entertainment policy. So,
Oh.
one thing that I've been sort of noticing for the last, especially 1.5 years, is a lot of actors coming forward to claim personality rights. In fact, the Bachchan family has been sort of taking the most recent move as well. One is that I would sort of take a step back and maybe from my point of view explain. One is that I think when we were growing up, at least I consider myself a little above the Gen Zs, right? So we would look at actors as the face of trust. So if let's say Mr. Shah Rukh Khan would promote something, we would think of it, talk with our friends, okay, ये एक particular चीज है, हम कर सकते हैं, नहीं कर सकते हैं. And now I think the younger generation that trust is of course being democratized with more and more content creators now leading it. But on the other side is also that a lot of actors who perhaps have not consented to their particular images being shared are being shared on a sort of illegal platforms and certain apps which are sort of maybe downright not supported by the government, so and so. So because of that, of course, and also with the AI, I'm sure the actors have been taking the step to go to the courts to actually enforce what they call the personality rights. So I want to get your 2 cents on what do you think about it and what could be the government policy around personality rights that could maybe protect the industry here.
Again, it is, I think, right now changing fast and changing very fast. So people are doing what they feel right at this particular moment. My take on this, there are multiple, things around it, but I have a feeling that his grandson that he was talking about, would it be interested in Mr. Bachchan?
K-pop.
I mean, because it is generational, entertainment is always generational, and all the more now. I have a feeling that suppose if today I want to cast Mr. Dilip Kumar and he doesn't have personality rights, I can use him. Would I? Would I use him? I'm thinking. So probably I would, but I'm making a film for the audience, which is 15 to 35. Dilip Kumar is as much as any other newcomer for that generation. You're getting me? So me right now living here in this world today, I might feel that it is really important. It may not be. I'm not saying it will not be or whatever. It definitely will depend on person to person or actor to actor. Definitely that. And again, when you say law, there is government. The government should, agree to it. And after that comes the implementation part of it, where you know what happens with your copyright laws. You change just a bit here and you fight the case for hundreds of years in the court. So what do you do with laws and all that unless and until the people really think of implementing it morally? So in any law, any constitution, anything, it has limits, boss. I'm sorry, you are in a field where there where there are a lot of limitations. Sorry. Yeah.
Hi, sir. My question was around the business of filmmaking. As a casual observer of the various film industries that are part of the whole Indian ecosystem, you can see that in the last few years, things have started moving. So, the way that films are distributed in different industries within India, some of them are becoming vertically integrated. So, the maker is the owner of the film chain, they distribute it via a secure system, while others are still in the old system. And then there are collectives that are forming who make films together and everything is sort of shared. Where do you see that going and the implication of that on the footfall in the theatre?
Again, as you say, suppose for example, PVR is, kind of investing in a film. So they're investors as well as they are distributors of it. So for now, that has kind of become a safer bait for a producer. But how many films can any PVR or any other corporate can back? So there are limitations to it. All the more so because of the absolutely unpredictable behavior of the audiences. It is becoming so. Right now, I have a feeling that everyone, as I said, is grappling in all these things to make it as safe bait as possible. That is what everyone is doing. We won't have the answer to this unless and until we have at least a definitive answer for, say, 2, 3, 4 year kind of span as to if the audience returns to theaters for a long, for a definite period, not for one film or two films in a year. If we have that feeling that no, people have started going to films, because right now just calculating only the revenue for the year is going to be misleading, because what is happening now, as I said, that people are not saying कि film देखने जाते हैं, people are saying कि let us watch this film. So particularly 2 or 3 or 4 films in a year are minting all the money, and the revenue is not getting distributed amongst other films, right? That is what is happening. But if people really start, if the behavior changes a bit, then the other producers who won't get backing of this sort that you are talking about might dare to again produce films in those kind of numbers. But we are still judging as to what is happening. And COVID has been really a game changer, because things were happening, and this is true for all the fields, but it has expedited a lot of phenomena. COVID. So all these, dubbed films are being watched. The films from other countries are being watched. Netflix, Amazon, as he was saying, that was being, who was saying, yeah, he was saying that, people are waiting for that and all that. Even within India, South Indian films being watched by the North Indians, So all this has just happened, and we don't know if it is here to stay, if it is here to stay for how long, what changes are going to happen, and what, as I said, this technology is going to bring next year or year after that. So we really have to, that is the thing, we have to be extremely vigilant right now if we are in this profession, extremely vigilant. We don't know what my decisions would be next year. Yeah.
Hi, sir.
Hi.
I don't have a question regarding the business. I just wanted to ask about the acting and the theaters about it. I have done some theaters in my bachelor's, and what I feel about the theaters that normally what we did.
Can we do one thing?
Yes.
Since we are in
Sure, we can.
this business and this kind of thing, if there are other questions regarding this, yeah. So sorry about that, but just so that we don't break the link. Yeah. Anyone? Yeah.
No, so I just had a comment on films, because I'm a big film fan, but all these technology disruptions are happening. Even then, there's a huge business for live shows and everything. You take any musical show, any stand-up comedian show, they're fully booked, in advance. So there's something in the cinema that is missing. There's no value for money that cinema is offering compared to what the live shows are offering. This is my understanding.
I probably won't draw that conclusion, but your observation is absolutely right. It's bang on. That live shows are creating, but that is why we need scholars from sociology, scholars from psychology, as to why people are coming together for a live show. What for? It is not just for entertainment, according to me.
So people drive from here to Birmingham for a 3 hour or 2 hour stand-up comedy show.
Correct.
Like 4 hours drive.
Correct. And for me, it is not just, the answer doesn't lie only in entertainment. I don't think so that it is missing there and it is not missing here. I don't think that is the only phenomenon. Something else is happening here as a social activity. And we need more research into it, more data into it, more interviews into it. It's a scientific work, it's an academic work. And that is why I'm again and again emphasizing on this, that this should not be neglected. It's fine if we don't go on Mars. it's okay. Let us see what is happening on the Earth with human beings for now. And we need social sciences. We need investment in social sciences. We need, this kind of inquiry. Because then this is a very easy conclusion, right? And you're right, I'm not saying, because yeah, you're just observing, हाँ मुझे नहीं, but क्यों, क्या हुआ है कोविड के बाद? What is happening? I think the answer is much complex and much deeper than just that he's giving me something which cinema is not. I'm sure it is not so. I'm sure it is not so, because you can't compare what a big screen with all that, the experience that you get. There is something, but it is beyond entertainment as well. Let us put it that way. Yeah. Sir, yeah.
I liked your example earlier of the historical perspective when black and white soundless film replaced color and that live experience. That's pretty obvious, but it struck a chord. And I remember a long time ago when ChatGPT was introduced, and people said it would replace things here, it would replace jobs there, but nowhere close to creativity. So the question to you is now, since we have all that time passed since the first ChatGPT came out, will AI smash creativity?
It will completely depend on how you define creativity. And I'm very serious when I'm saying this. For example, AI to create a video or whatever, a text, with the help of AI, what you need is a correct prompt, right? So as the prompt would change, or as I get trained to prompt correctly, or how I train my particular AI to understand me and my language, I think that that would become more important later on as to how I use it. So if I make a statement that no, creativity will not be smashed and all that, it would be a very kind of an emotional statement, I would say. But I don't want to be emotional about it, because I see intelligent people. I've used a wrong word, I'm so sorry. But some people probably would know how to use the equipment more creatively. So are we going to call it creativity or not? I would call it creativity. Because what are we doing in films? In films, we are using all the arts. All the arts we are using. We are using music, we are using dance, technology, every, you name the art, and we are using it in films. So AI, that would be the other thing that we would use. So I won't be as rash as saying that it would or it would not be, it would not smash creativity. I would say that, no. For example, I told someone, so sorry, I'll come back to you. That probably there won't be anything called writer's block anymore. Why would it be? Because if I have a block, I prompt something to the AI, it will give me 10 solutions. One of it will strike to be, let us go on this line. And so there is no writer, which is a good thing according to me.
Writer's overload.
Huh?
There might be a writer's overload.
Maybe, yes, but then again, the skill would be to choose, isn't it? And choosing is part of creativity. Because even when I'm not using anything, I have 10 ideas how to proceed in a story. I have to choose. So choosing always has been a part of creativity. So I am looking at it very positively, so to say. Yes, ma'am.
My question was from 2 points that you suggested in your talk before. One was from the paintings that you referred to from the churches that we used to have in the horizontal format earlier, and the second one was the AI written scripts that are smashing the box office in China. And I drew a connection between the two. I feel I come from the content writing and the design industry, and we were actually scared might be out of our jobs when ChatGPT came and so many AI prompt image generators came. But what I've experienced in the last 4 years is human eye has become faster in detecting AI than AI has become in creating scripts and art. And what has that done is every time we see a text written by AI, we can immediately, if you've spent a month in the industry, you can recognize it's AI. And coming back to the paintings.
For now.
And coming back to the paintings that you mentioned in the churches, we are in the heart of the most beautiful architecture that ever existed in the world. And people come from all over the world spending lakhs to this country and even Europe to see art or real art. And then architecture evolved and it became simpler. But nobody is going to travel to those countries to see societies and residential buildings and simpler architectures. I feel like in the future, if AI takes over everything, real human art will become something that's novelty and people would choose to pay for it so that they can actually connect with something that was humanly created. And don't you think that would not of the AI written scripts might just be an attraction for now, but it might not be the future?
With AI, we can talk what you knew 5 minutes before, right? We don't know what is going to happen tomorrow. That is what I think, because ChatGPT, sir mentioned, I used ChatGPT, I think, in the second month when it was introduced, and I prompted it to write a screenplay for a short film. So that's when I had used. And today, it's completely different, and that is what, 3 years? Huh? Less than 3 years. So I understand the reactions, but these reactions about AI, I think we are going to have every 3 or 4 months or 6 months, and they're going to be different. So again, my point would be to invest on human relationships, behavior, the science of human existence, rather than what we are going to, create in terms of machines. And of course, that would be there because that is more lucrative and all that. But I think we need to observe and check where it is going to go. I don't know. The answer to your question is I don't know, because I don't know where AI is going to go. I have seen where ChatGPT has gone from where to where. Or AI has gone, it is producing these music videos only on prompts. It's creating characters and, entire sets and music, everything. So I don't know what it is going to do 2 years from now, and when it is self-learning. So I don't really know. And I think we shouldn't get scared of it. We should embrace it, is what I feel. We should embrace it. We should not get scared. Sir.
So I'm itching to ask you another question about content. That rich content and all this stuff. So you gave us a wonderful historical perspective of the evolution of the changes that took place. Has there been evolution of the types of storytelling in Indian cinema? Also, is there an undercurrent of a particular thread that you find? The scene, I'm of the generation, I've seen the old color movies. I didn't see the black and white stuff. Well, actually, 400 Beasts probably the one I've seen over and over again. But beyond that, the stories in the 70s and 80s were quite bland, actually. But then more recently, been a very exciting evolution of content. What is happening and what the audience is looking for by way of this? Of course, Ramayana, which of course everybody watched right at one point. But what's happening at the moment? Where is it going?
I have always believed that cultural choice is not in a limbo. Cultural choice is is a result of what is happening in the social, political, educational, economical circumference of an individual. And you would see that it has been changing over the years naturally, and that is in turn affecting the cultural choice of the people. And that is why, if you take a cross section of, say, let us say, Indian society, um, the, the stratas, let us say class. In India, class is directly equivalent to caste, but let us keep that away for a bit. But that is very important as well. But what I'm basically trying to saying, and just to simplify it, that those stratas are shifting. Yeah. So why are they shifting and why are they going up, and what is happening because of that? Because of changing technology, because of economical structure is changing, your access to education is changing, your exposure is changing, and that is resulting into a cultural choice. And I think that is what is happening. Uh, and that is why you see films being made differently today, because you have a certain kind of audience in bigger numbers, which can sustain the cost of the film. That is what is happening. What also happened was that a large audience was left behind because the makers were from a particular strata, and they understood art naturally from their own experiences and their own perspective and from where they came from. And to get access, this is where again the caste is important as well as the class, because the creative person who wants to make something like a film, which is such a big thing, because of the sheer financing of it, the capital heaviness of it, to reach that stage, it needs more time and more, probably couple of generations, we don't know what. So all this constitutes, apart from of course how audience is reacting and what is happening in the business, in theaters, distribution, and all these factors, the costs are going up high, it's, so much, the inflation is so much that this entire streaming industry is struggling with that, because you can't increase your subscriptions to such a level, but your production costs are going up. So all these factors, I think, come together. But it's very important to think from this perspective, this cross-section perspective, which belongs to class and caste, and that has a great, very big impact on any art, more so on cinema. Yes, sir.
One last question. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you again. What I think what you just mentioned was sort of like the gentrification that's going on in our town centers, the bigger companies falling on the smaller companies and things. So I guess the question is, as people who are aspiring to get into the industry, is it better to be sort of part of that sort of thing, or to be placed at a point where you start influencing the choices, sort of where you start making the small modifications and let that kind of influence people's consumption behavior?
You mean any specific art, or it's any art, or
across the board? So across the board.
As far as art is concerned?
Yes, as far as art is concerned, yeah.
What you feel honestly. There has to be a story inside you which you are dying to tell. That's all that matters. Now, whether it will get consumed by more audiences or less, that's a different story altogether. Because there are a lot of ifs and buts, and whom do you show, and then in what budget it should be made, and there are a lot of factors in that. But I have a feeling that any art is something which comes out of a want to tell a story. And as long as you're honest to that feeling of yours, I think that is where you should start with. Not having a business module and all that. Then there are a lot of other businesses to to go to. Cinema especially definitely is not that. अगर फिल्म बनानी है तो पागलपन चाहिए, वरना फिल्म नहीं बन सकती.
Last question, and maybe it's an observation. Some of us are in fields where we've been tasked a similar question that you posed us, as if things are changing. Go and find out how did the change look like. Make us future ready. That's what I do. I'm a data guy. Look at a lot of data. Everything around me is changing because of all the influences you mentioned. Some of which directly apply to me, some of which maybe don't.
So I suppose, I mean, this is just a personal position that I take when I see this, is that at the end of it, it's really the first principles, right? So I think the question that you're asking, I was surmising how does things change in the film industry. But there is something that's constant in amongst all of this, which is story. You opened your conversation about storytelling. And that really is the essence of what your business is, whether it's vertical or horizontal, or whichever way you look at it. Whether it was Natya Sangeet in Maharashtra, black and white film, or now, and way sort of goes from this point. So is it possibly, and like I said, it's not a question, it's more an observation that we are actually just getting flabbergasted by all these various impressions, and all we really need to do is stand still and look at the first principle and a sense of what we do in whatever we do.
Yeah, absolutely right. Story is the thing. But the only thing is, which format are you using to tell the story? When you use a format of a film, then it's a very capital heavy thing. And then you have to think about a lot of things. If you are a writer or if you are a poet and all that, you don't have to think about finances so much, right? Because the investment is less. So yes, you're absolutely right, but it really depends on the investment part as far as films are concerned. You can't really escape that. I was told that it was said by V. Shantaram, but I don't know who said it actually. But a filmmaker said that film is about 80% business and 20% art. So, and I tend to trust that because it is, you can't help it. It is the most expensive art. But then if, as Sir was saying, that if I'm really dying to tell a story, I can choose a format, probably, and may not go and make a film, probably write a poem. I don't know. It will reach less number of people. But if I'm going to, I'm okay with it, then that's fine. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you. It
Thank
was
you so
fun.
much,
Thank
sir.
you. Really enjoyed it. Thank you. Thanks so
you,
much.
sir.
Thank you. Thanks. Thank you. Thanks for making this happen.